Woo, let me tell you about Southern Holler. Deep-rooted conversation on civics and business. It offers an insightful exploration of local politics, community dynamics, and business partnerships. Each episode unravels a complex interplay between civic affairs and business ventures.
Hey, Power.
Hey, Jeremiah. How's it going?
Good. We're back.
We are back. I'm excited to be back. What you got on the docket today?
Well, we were talking earlier today, we usually talk about a location or something in the area, in the region that we think is interesting, whether touristy or just things, frankly, that we're interested in.
Absolutely.
And, it's our podcast. We're allowed to do that.
That's what we do whatever we want.
That's right.
Well, I guess not everything. I guess there's some rules and regulations about what you can say.
I don't know, man. It's the radio. Oh, wait. It's a podcast. We can do anything.
We can do it.
We can do everything. So
I'm ready to be. No.
Sorry. My bad.
And it begins. We don't even get, in the middle of it and it goes off the rails.
Well, it's also because I haven't seen you in a couple days.
I know. It has been a kind of a time.
Yeah.
I've been down at the beach working, so, that's not a bad place to work at.
Yeah, that's tough living right there.
It's tough. It's tough to get up and hear the ocean,
That one day I'm going to grow up and be just like you. Well, as close as I can.
As close as you can.
So instead of a location today, let's talk about politics.
Ooh, politics. I enjoy politics. I enjoy politics a little too much.
All right, so let's not give opinions, but let's talk about just kind of 10,000-foot view of the scope of recent elections across the Atlanta area, Georgia, locally.
So we don't usually talk about elections. We bring up politics every once in a while, but we're non-biased. We're not going to talk and support anybody. We're just going to talk about the whole atmosphere about it. And so, recently we just had the general primary for the state of Georgia. And in this primary, that includes the Republican, Democrat, and nonpartisan primaries. For those in the nonpartisan primary, their election was Tuesday night, and that's it for them. But for folks that ran in the Republican and Democratic primaries, there's a chance you may have to go to November. A chance you didn't if you didn't have one of the other opposing parties qualify to run in that position on that party. Recently, this past Tuesday, we had a very interesting phenomenon happen in the state of Georgia. About 10, 15 years ago, and even here recent, probably about 8 years ago, it was very unusual for an incumbent to lose re-election. Don't know what it is. It could be a combination of things. It could be just people go and they have their mindset on one office. Usually if it's a presidential race that year, they have their mind focused on the race for president, and then they just kind of mark the other ones, and they usually mark the one with the I by their name. But this time around, we see a lot of incumbents across the state of Georgia that are not going to be returning next year. There's a couple counties that I saw, one in South Georgia, where all of the incumbent county commissioners that were up for re-election, that ran for re-election, they all did not win their races. So you're going to have at least 3 new county commissioners down in that county. And a couple counties that have had a lot of recent new development that were small counties that are seeing this new growth, they actually lost some of their current county commissioners and current leadership. And then I saw a couple races that were interesting about a couple of sheriffs that either did not win re-election or they're going into a runoff in June. So I just think that's very interesting how that all correlates. And that we could spend a whole show talking about the dynamics of why maybe that's happening, what we may have seen a snapshot even last year in some of the municipal races, because we had a lot of new elected city council members and mayors that got elected from beating out the incumbent. So it's just something to look at. I'm a nerd for it anyway, so Tuesday night I spent a lot of that night looking at all 159 counties, and it can get very repetitive, but I like it. It's my Super Bowl.
Right, it's your Super Bowl. That's what I say. A lot of people watch sports just to get away from it all.
I watch C-SPAN.
But you do watch C-SPAN.
Correct.
And that's kind of your gig. And anytime
nothing gets me going like a spicy Senate hearing.
All right, did you hear that pause? That was...
we'll put that pause in here.
Yeah, we have to leave that pause in because I don't
know.
See,
you and Ben were in here talking last time about wrestling. My wrestling is senators getting into verbal arguments.
Got it. So the Ric Flair of verbal arguments.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
I'm with you now.
See, it's great.
So I'll do the other side of that. Thank you to the incumbents.
Absolutely.
Man, you guys take the hits. A lot of those guys, this is just a part-time gig that ends up being a full-time gig. As somebody who sits on a local city, as Power does, part-time gig of public service ends up being a full-time, you get a lot of complaints.
Well, that's so, it's okay. I think a lot of people have valid complaints and
Sure.
concerns, and you got to take those and see, sometimes you're able to be helpful, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's out of your control. One of the things that we get a lot is, we got potholes down Highway 81, Gainesville Highway. Well, those are Department of Transportation. We can't send anybody out there to fix that.
No.
And so that's hard. You want to be able to help that. No matter the situation, I think there should be an appreciation for those that have held office, and thank you to those incumbents that have served, a good long while. I mean, they've committed their time to it, and, they've made it their baby. And everything, what we always have to remember is that no matter how it ends, you have to always remember these folks ran for office because they wanted to help people.
Yes.
And they felt like they could help people.
Yes.
And so that's something to always remember.
Right. And if you go back to our first episode, that's what we talk about. We always hope and we always try to look for good people to run for office. If I can run for office, come on. Anybody can. Let's just be honest. We're always looking for good people, having the love of community, and to try to do good things. The other point to the incumbents, thanking them for their service specifically, if you've been in office more than 4 years, you still were dealing with COVID. By the way, there's no handbook for COVID.
No.
The handbook for COVID has come after COVID. Yeah. So anybody that was during service in that, I know not everybody wants to lose and move on for that. Just thank them for their service, because that in no way, any of that was winnable arguments. I don't care if it's on a national level, regional, or local level. So anyway, I just want to give a pause to.
No, thank you for that.
Thanks for all the.
I think
hard
that
work.
is something to talk about. Speaking of hard work, why don't you talk about who we have in the studio today, Jeremiah?
Well, the first time I got introduced to him was via text message, and it said Brian. And then the second time I actually talked to him, he said his name was Keith. And then in my phone, I have it as Dorton. So
Dorton.
So I have him in my phone as Brian Keith Dorton.
Double D. Okay. Double D.
Actually, no, I'm kidding. This is our good buddy Keith. We hang out every Thursday night. Mm-hmm. Actually, all three of us hang out every Thursday night.
Absolutely. And thank you for letting us hang out sometimes at your house. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love it.
We have our own little bourbon cigar theology club that we do on Thursday nights. We just enjoy it, having a great time, and we got to know Keith really well. He was on the house show with our executive producer, Tom Sheldon. What was it, a month ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that went by fast. I'm sorry. It's 4 months ago.
4 months, yeah.
And a lot has happened in 4 months. It's to the point where you and I were talking, gosh, was it last Thursday or Friday? Mm-hmm. We didn't even get to see you because you had such a good Thursday night.
Yeah, that's true.
And so let's rewind a little bit. So tell us what you're doing, and just give us updates on kind of direction of where you guys are going.
Sure. So as Tim, Chris, and myself, 2 co-founders, we were on with Tom 4 months ago. We've started and are opening a trade school here just down the road from the Empower College and Career Center here, Jackson County. So we're not even 11 minutes from here on 129. And our focus is to give opportunity for the skilled trades, specifically with plumbing first, because my 2 co-founders, Tim and Chris, that's their background. So we want to let people know the opportunities that are out there in the skilled trades. There's tons of them. And all the trades really need people, and not just people, good people, hard workers. And so we're trying to address that gap by offering training that will get people ready to get into plumbing in a 10-week course. Mm-hmm.
You said plumbing, right? So that's the guys, you said Chris and Tim. Mm-hmm. That's their main goal. Didn't you say at some point maybe try to add some other field work too?
We purposefully named it Trades Education Center because we didn't want to be only a plumbing school.
You want to be able to branch out to more.
You got it. So
electrician,
done. Exactly, the power.
Yeah.
So the name was future minded. We want to go into HVAC, electrical, masonry, carpentry, whatever you can think of.
Things that are desperately needed.
You got
Absolutely.
it. So and we also want to, and the reason we kind of want to build out the plumbing a little bit first, we want to address getting people into the industry, but also following them all the way through their career, helping them, like in plumbing. You have to have 3 years experience before you can even get a license. The journeyman's license is, you can't even take that until you've had 3 years experience. You have to have sign-offs from 3 other licensed plumbers. You have to have a lot of experience.
So that's based on like hours of, I didn't realize that journeymen still operate like that now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fast-tracked at all?
No, not in the state of Georgia. So currently it's still 3 years experience. You have to have signed paperwork from, it's either 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly. It's 2 or 3 licensed plumbers have to sign off that you've done certain things.
Okay.
Then you have the opportunity to take
Absolutely. You're not
the exam.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Then you can go take the exam. And then there's, I think in the state of Georgia, there are 2 people that offer exam prep courses.
Okay.
2. That's it.
Wow.
And so those guys do really well with helping people get ready. And then you take that, pass that, now you have your journeymans. Well, now 2 more years of experience and working under master plumbers, getting their sign-offs. Then you can try to take the master plumber's exam. And so again, we're starting with getting people trained to be an apprentice plumber.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
But we want to work toward providing that ongoing education through the entirety of someone's plumbing career.
Right.
Gotcha.
Man, you're like the on-ramp.
The on-ramp
That's my favorite phrase
for
around
that.
that.
I like that.
Is
Yes.
the on-ramp into just that different kind of craft.
Yes.
Into the trades.
I think it's significant to think about because I can imagine, even you're doing your apprenticeship and you're going through that program compared to going to a 4-year college or even to your technical, which I think more on the 4-year college aspect is you can make money while you're doing this, while you're training, while you're trying to become this. So you're making money through that process and you're not stagnated by just classroom work. It's all hands-on, making money at the same time. I think that's what's very valuable. And then we've gotten to a point, and COVID kind of, I think, expedited this, where you have now this deficit of tradespeople. It's going to come to bite us if we don't get more people out there. So I'm sure that's what you're seeing.
Absolutely. I think I'm glad you mentioned COVID because it's been there. The deficit of skilled trades people, it's been there. COVID brought it out.
It expedited.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody went, oh no.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the guys I work with, Chris and Tim both, they've known. They've known for years.
No, it was coming. It just, that snowball got bigger once that hit. Folks were done. They wanted to retire, and that was they looked at it as the best time to retire.
The funny observation about plumbing and trades and things like that, when everybody was at home during COVID, everybody was looking around their house, and then when they cleaned it up,
Yeah.
and that deficit just kept growing. It's like,
Absolutely.
need a painter, need a roofer, need to do new landscaping, do additional work.
And then I'm sure for the folks that remained in the industry, they have done very well. And I think that's what folks have to. What are you seeing as maybe the average? Do you know what maybe the average first year pay would look like?
There will be variables, obviously. But so Chris and Tim talk about this a lot because they look at what we're doing as an investment for themselves because they need workers.
Absolutely.
So they see it as if they hired someone straight out of our program, knowing what we're going to do to prepare them, right out of the gate, they would be at least $20 an hour as an apprentice plumber.
That's great.
I mean, could you do something comparable in some other areas? Maybe. But I think long term, the opportunity is way different in
because it's going to be a very long time before you recover from the deficit that we're in. I mean, not to talk, it's not doomsday. The world's not going to fall apart. But I do think you look at it as there is a long time here that folks have an opportunity to really grow and make this their career and retire and have a good life because you went and followed this opportunity.
Our program, and one of the ways that we're approaching some of the local plumbing contractors is, okay, you can hire somebody off the street, and in the next year, with no experience, in the next year, you're probably going to end up paying them somewhere between 30 to 40 grand over the next year. Well, what are the chances they're going to learn what they need to learn in the next year to be more effective? Everybody in the plumbing industry knows the new guy is the one that gets yelled at to go pick a part off the truck. They're going to pick the wrong part. They're going to do something wrong. They're just mostly going to get yelled at a lot. And that's, again, it's because the people that are in the business, they're focused on doing the job and getting it done right, getting it on time, and making customers happy. You don't necessarily have time to bring someone alongside you and teach them as you're doing the work.
100%.
So you could do that. You could hire somebody, again, 30 to 40 grand. A year later, you may or may not have that person stay with you.
Yeah.
Or you could send them to us for 10 weeks, $5,000. And in 2 weeks, you'll know whether or not you want to keep them or not.
Right.
Not only that, they'll have experience with every tool. They'll have experience with just about every fixture, valve, and device you can imagine.
Yep.
They're going to see all of that, and they're going to be an asset to you instead of a liability.
So don't you have something called the wet lab? Is that what you guys
Sure
call
do.
it? So explain that the best you can.
So
'Cause you do have to see it's pretty impressive.
I love our wet lab. Tim and Chris really geeked out over making this room. It's it's essentially just a big classroom, but on one wall we have built into that wall water service lines, so copper water service line. We've built in drain lines, and so we have four. I think 4 or 6. I can't remember, my numbers are off. I think it's 4 quick disconnects. So we roll in. We've got different displays. We've got toilets, faucets or sinks, shower, tub. We can roll those in on rolling displays, hook those up to this wet wall, supply water to it. You can flush them right there on the spot, and we've got a spot for them to drain into. And so we can actually take apart a toilet, replace the parts on it, a urinal. We can put together a hot water heater, take it apart.
That sounds like a very pass or fail. Hey, if it leaks, there's a problem. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You need to retry this test.
No, I'm glad you said that. That's actually one of the things we're going to do is we're going to show them. We want them to, let's say they're tightening a fitting or something. We want them to tighten it enough that they're going to break it. We want you to know what that break point is.
Yes.
Go ahead and break it.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why
good
we're
to-
here.
It's good to get through that because you know what you're going to be dealing with. You know, like I said, you want them to know. That's great.
And you never bring up the word shark bite.
If you're talking about putting something in the ground, yes.
Yes.
I have no idea what that means. But I'm
Well,
going to take your word for it.
there's a whole industry that is supposed to be a quick fix, but it turns into remediation for your home. Eventually, it starts leaking. You should call a professional plumber to fix.
Instead of doing it yourself.
Well, you can do it yourself, but there's a right way to do it, right, Keith? And
Oh, I
there's
know
a
to call a plumber.
wrong way to do
I
it.
ain't trying that.
There are shark bite's a very, very well known fitting type and company, not company, but fitting type. And the component, what it's made out of, it's not meant to be in the ground. It's going to corrode and fail. And actually, I've been on a call with Chris's company. I've been on a call where we found it. The customer had had a big, kind of a small flood in their yard. When the technicians went out, dug it up, and sure enough, somebody had repaired, I put that in air quotes, repaired the water service line to the house by putting a shark bite on that line. Well, and not only that, they wrapped it with a plastic grocery bag. So, yeah. Anyway, it didn't work well.
It's hard to recover from that.
Yeah. All those types of things. Helping them learn what's appropriate, what's not appropriate
right.
for different settings.
So we were talking again last week. Thank you for explaining what you're actually doing, but explain kind of what's actually happening now. You've had, did you say not a soft opening, but what did you have?
Some open houses.
Open houses, and you've had different suppliers come in, right?
So we have some great backing from the industry, and actually that's kind of our approach. We've been backed by the industry and by contractors, so it's very industry driven. We had a couple of our manufacturing partners come in last week, a couple of contractors come in. It was great to have them in, to have people like Milwaukee Tools, American Standard, Odie, some of these massive companies, to kind of get support from them because they see the need as well. And actually that's an exciting part, is knowing that it's not just about service contractors or plumbing contractors. There's opportunities in the plumbing industry when it comes to supply warehouse and distribution. There's opportunity as a manufacturer's representative to be able to talk to people about what manufacturers are making, and then also just to be able to work for a manufacturer. So there's so many opportunities, and if someone has a good grounding in the basics of the plumbing industry, they're that much more valuable. Talking about manufacturing, I mean, even there are a number of the manufacturers with their large facilities.
But they have utility. And
Some of them have a service plumber on staff.
And that absolutely. And there's more manufacturing, because manufacturing jobs are not stopping. So that's something good to think about. I mean, you're also preparing these folks to go in and maybe get a manufacturing job, a job in manufacturing that is, covers their field expertise. Because, like you said, they have a plumber on staff, an electrician, all of these things, HVAC.
So are you looking for any other partnerships with their employees? Are you looking for more people to talk to?
Always. We essentially have identified 3 ways that we kind of partner or ask for people to be partners with us. We have curriculum partners, and those are companies or organizations that are in the plumbing industry that have either manufacturing or some type of service that they offer the plumbing industry. We want to partner with them so that they can come alongside us and help us educate the apprentices. All the companies I mentioned earlier, they have significant education departments within their company. So they're already in that education space. We're getting them to come alongside us and help us teach the apprentices.
Gotcha.
So that's curriculum partners. We have workforce partners, which those are going to be service contract companies, maintenance companies in terms of plumbing. Their workforce is exactly what it means. They partner with us so that they have first pick of our apprentices to come along and work for them. And then lastly, pipeline. Pipeline partners are anybody in the education space that is looking to help their students know what opportunities are out there. We've got a great relationship, actually, with the Empower College and Career Center. Yeah,
Yep.
we have a great relationship with them. We have a couple other folks that we're in talks with, just so that we become another option for students.
Absolutely. I guess you see college and career academies all over the state as a vital role to play in what y'all are doing.
Tim, Chris, and I were fortunate to come tour Empower a couple months ago, and we left, and Tim and Chris both were like, man, if I'd have had a high school like this.
You know, I got to go up to Forsyth, or I can't remember if it's South Forsyth or Central Forsyth High School.
You better get that right.
I know. It is very territorial.
Yeah, that's very different.
I went up there to speak to their automotive class. Well, there's South, Central, East,
North, yeah.
And so
Atlanta.
confusing. Atlanta. It's just that Atlanta area.
Sorry,
sorry
Atlanta.
to our folks, Have comfort knowing I call Auburn West Winder. So y'all
Come
know.
on now.
So, I got the chance to go up there, and I was just impressed because I know at one time there was shop class, long time ago, but then that was phased out. A lot of it had to do with the 08 crisis, having to save money. But it was fun going back. I actually got to go to a class where they were taught by former GM employees.
Oh.
And it was a auto body class. And the teachers got their oil changed and tire rotated for free.
That's cool.
And they worked on cars. They, of course, had cars they worked on. They would switch out batteries. And so to see that opportunity come back into school and kids actually have a good time doing that, like that's probably the only part of the day where they enjoy being in class. And so opportunities like that, and then y'all getting to see that, that it is so, the school system has changed and this focus now. And thankfully the state has made that a focus. And that's good to see that the remedies are there. We just have to catch up.
Absolutely. And I will say, kind of to plug ours a little bit more, but in the fall, we had what we called our test run in the fall. We had 6 gentlemen come through. They were all employed by one of my 2 co-founders. And so they went through kind of a condensed version of what we're going to do. It was neat to take them through that and then to hear from the people that they work with every day.
Absolutely.
Particularly the ones that worked for Chris's company, the experienced guys were like, are they any different? Have you noticed? And they're like, oh man, like they actually sound like they know what they're doing and they're not messing up as much. That's great.
Yeah, the confidence of doing it. When I got to tour the school, and I've done the sign for them.
Yep.
And we're doing some other
Thank
stuff,
you, by the way.
together. Yeah, I had to plug myself there.
Looks amazing.
Chubby Hippo sign job. When I went up there, I was like, so what do you actually teach? He goes, well, this is one of the first things we teach. I said, okay. He said, you ready? I said, yeah. I said, this is a tape measure. I said, we're going to that level? He said, well, it's not that we're going to that level. It's just a lot of kids, 35 and under, don't know the pressure of knowing what a tape measure was. And we're starting there. And this is your tool bag. And this is what goes in your tool bag. These are, not every tool you carry. You're not going to use every day, but these are the important ones. And this is how you take care of them. And then you also have a pool warehouse. Where you literally get a stocked item, and then you have to go to the shelving, and then find
the
it.
right.
It's like wow, this is just like work.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. Every session they come in, they'll have a list of what they're going to need for that session, and they have to go across the hall to our mini warehouse, and they have to go pull what they need for that day.
Yeah.
So again, that's getting them exposed to another part of the industry as well.
Who donated those supplies?
Oh gosh,
We should give them a plug, but that's amazing.
Well, it's a combination between one of our co-founders, Tim Davis. He runs Win Nelson up in Gatesville. He's donated so much to what we're doing, but also some of our industry partners. United Sales Agency, I think, is the name of the manufacturing rep agency. They represent Milwaukee Tools.
Very good.
We've gotten Milwaukee Tools
That's
stuff
great.
in.
That is great.
Liberty Pumps, Watts, Odie. American Standard we've worked with directly. They're awesome guys over there. Harry Warren is another manufacturing agency that we work with, and they've been so supportive. They're awesome people. Huge.
Those are not small names. Those are huge names.
No, that's fantastic. And
A.O. Smith, that's another big one.
Yeah.
I think with all of that combined, you're not only helping an industry that is kind of limping right now with starving for new labor, but you're helping people because they need to have access to those that are skilled in these trades. But you're also giving opportunities to maybe a lot of kids and a lot of adults, and this is their opportunity to make a good life for themselves.
Absolutely.
I commend y'all for doing this.
100%. Do you have your next class scheduled out yet?
Yes, we start June the 11th. And so we have 12. We have 12 spots. 3 of those are spoken for, so we have 9 spots left for the summer. It's a 10-week course. Starts June 11th, runs through August.
How do they find you?
Trades-ed.org, tradesed.org.
Very good.
And we're all on the socials and everything.
Yeah.
I have one more question, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
'Cause I know we're winding down now. My last question is, where would you like it to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I would like us to have fully built out the plumbing side of being able to follow someone all the way through their career, all the way to master plumber. And then I'd love to see another 2 or 3 locations. The idea is we don't want to have some massive campus. We want to have small satellite schools that each focus on their own skilled trade.
Hey, thanks for coming in today.
Yes, thank you, Keith.
Thank y'all
This
for
has
having
been
me.
Awesome.
Well, I appreciate y'all very much.
Yeah, very much. So
Appreciate what you do and appreciate what Tim and Chris does too. I appreciate all of y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Power's so good to see you.
Always good to see you, my friend.
And thank you for listening to Southern Holler, Northeast Georgia Business RadioX Studio. It's a podcast executive produced by Mr. Tom Sheldon, our hero. Y'all have a good one.
Y'all have a good one.